Intentional motherhood seasoned with grace. Reheat your coffee for the third time today and pull up a chair with your new mom friends, Christy and Jamie. This is Motherhood on Purpose. All right, welcome back to the podcast, you guys. We are joined with Jamie from Simply Living It, and I am Christy from One Blessed Mess. So welcome.
Yes.
We love having you
Yes.
guys here. Just a reminder that we are not going to be posting YouTube videos anymore, at least for the foreseeable future. So be sure that if you want to check out any of our future podcast episodes to check in with wherever you get your podcasts. But we are so happy to have you guys join us today. We are going to be talking about a theme, I think, that is pretty widespread amongst all moms, not just homeschooling moms, but we're going to kind of tie this in with our whole homeschooling mom theme. It is loneliness. Loneliness in motherhood, loneliness in homeschooling, that feeling like nobody really gets you, or that you can't talk to somebody, or that you just don't have the support maybe that you need or are craving. So let's just dive right in, Jamie.
Yes. Because that can go in so many different directions for sure. As far as the loneliness and it comes in seasons too. We talk a lot about different seasons, varying seasons. And as we were pondering this topic and I was just kind of brainstorming different things, I was kind of looking back at my life and remembering different seasons where I had felt the most lonely. And right now, I feel like it's not necessarily something that we're going through, but when my kids were younger, right? When we have the nap schedules, the bedtime schedules, when they kind of rule the roost, if you will, you're so much more, you can feel so much more isolated in that situation with littles because of the demands. It's just a different season. It's so incredibly demanding compared to when they get older, they're more independent. Things are just different. And I just was reminded of that, thinking that there have been so many different times in life where it's been a really isolating, I don't know if isolating is the right word, a lonely season. It can be a very lonely season. You can feel incredibly alone in your circumstances, in your situations. But then I also was coming at it from the perspective of maybe where I have dealt with loneliness more, because where we are, I know we are different in this, Christy, as far as you're out in the boon toonies, right?
Yes.
And we live in town. We have all of our family, my siblings, grandparents, like everybody's right here.
Right.
So as far as physically, those like physically people in your life, right? The busyness of that, we very much have that around. But I can attest to the being in a crowded room with people around you and still feeling alone.
Yeah.
Right. For me, that is something that I have struggled with more than I would say the being kind of isolated in my home and feeling loneliness in that way, because loneliness and being alone are two totally different things. Like loneliness is more of an emotion, right? More of an emotion. And so for me, it's more of just being in a crowded room and that feeling of, I don't know that I belong, maybe, like a sense of belonging. So that can trigger that feeling of being alone, that feeling of loneliness. I don't belong. We don't see eye to eye on anything, but that's totally a lie. That's totally not the truth, right? But you can still take that and internalize that and have those feelings. So for me, that's kind of where I'm coming at with this topic, is just kind of dissecting the simple fact that you can be alone. You can be lonely. Someone could be an introvert and be alone and be fine with that. Where you can be out in public and in all these situations and still feel lonely.
Yes.
Does that make any sense? I feel like I said alone and lonely a lot, and I didn't get anywhere with what I wanted to say.
No, I think that makes perfect sense. I know exactly what you're talking about for sure.
Like, it's one of those things where in your head it makes sense, but trying to get it out. And I have my notes, I have all the things, but trying to get it out, I just don't know if I'm like relaying that properly. But it's you can be circled with people, and still feel alone, or you can be alone at home and feel completely fulfilled. Like it can go either direction. So sometimes people equate loneliness with a situation maybe where you're at in the middle of nowhere and you don't have a circle of people really close to you.
Right.
That can be lonely. That can be a very
Yes.
lonely thing, but it can go either way. Sometimes you can be circled in
Absolutely.
the busy, chaotic season, and it's the most dry, lonely season you've ever had in your life.
Right.
So just trying to put that perspective on it too for different mamas, whatever season they might be
Yes.
in their motherhood journey, um, homeschooling or not, whatever it might look like for mamas, it can be so incredibly different given your
Right.
personal situation and circumstances and the world, obviously.
Right.
Um, can be very isolating for sure. For sure.
Absolutely. And I think definitely for homeschooling moms in particular, it's hard to find that maybe that camaraderie that you're looking for, especially if
Yeah.
you have like a circle of friends that don't homeschool. Like while
Yes.
you can relate to them on so many other levels, being able to relate to them in the fact that you have, you know, a different set of circumstances than they
Yeah.
do. Your day to day looks completely different than other people's or other stay at home moms even do.
Yeah.
So being able to really, I don't connect to somebody on that level can be really, really difficult, especially if you are a new homeschooler, if you're brand new to it and you haven't really found that support system in that, you know, other friends or maybe a circle in your church or wherever it may be that
Yeah.
homeschools as well, because there's so many different things that we struggle with as homeschooling moms
Yeah.
and concerns. And we crave that reassurance, I think, too, that, oh, you know, like my friend is this far into homeschooling. So they went through this same thing and they're able to speak life into this situation that I'm going through where I don't feel so alone in that.
Yeah.
That is where, for me, being in a more isolated place, where my support system completely like flew away when I started
Oh,
home. But yeah, everybody just kind of moved away right when we started homeschooling, not because we started homeschooling, but
yes.
but
Yes.
right at that time. And we moved to a brand new place and we're out in the boonies, just like what you said. And I don't know anybody in this town, you know, and then we're in between churches at that. So, and then
Yes.
being a more introverted kind of gal, like I have learned to be okay with being alone. Like I'm the kind of introvert that I do enjoy that time away from groups of people to recharge, but at the same
Yes.
time I crave that time with the people I am the closest to and that
Yeah.
connect. All that was kind of stripped away when we first started homeschooling. But now looking back, I'm kind of thankful that it was hard at times because you're trying to figure things out for yourself without
Mhm.
really anybody's direction, being able to rely on anybody for help or anything like that. But it was it was really refining for me. It was a time that was really, really refining where I learned to be okay with being by myself and doing hard things alone and really relying on the Lord for that direction as opposed
Yes.
to being influenced by maybe other people's opinions or the direction that they went with something. And
Absolutely.
it's just been a really interesting journey. But at the same time, you do need that community. And
Yeah.
we are people that really crave community. Like every single one of us, whether you're introverted or extroverted, you need that support. And
Absolutely.
so there have been times for sure where I have just felt completely isolated, completely alone. And I'm really, really grateful for having an online community to be able
Yeah.
to talk with people from all over the place in different seasons of life in homeschooling and in just different areas of motherhood, even where
Yes.
I can glean that information that I am searching for or that knowledge or that
Yep.
advice that I am looking for.
And to know somebody understands.
Yes.
Somebody has gone
Yes.
before us and somebody understands because even
Absolutely.
that being in your crowd of people, no matter where your family members, your circle of community around you physically, if you are with your family, extended family, they may be there physically, but they may not hear and understand. And when I say
Right.
hear, I mean as in like, yes, they're listening, but they don't feel it to the depths that we do.
Right.
Just like we can't understand anybody's situation,
Mm,
perfectly. But it's nice to know that there is a community of moms who have gone before us
right.
who can say, it's okay. You don't need to freak out about the diploma. Because that's where I'm
Yes.
at right now.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I'm freaking out about ninth grade.
Of
I'm freaking out about high
course.
school. I'm like, what in
Yes.
the world? And I have other mamas in this area
Right.
that can help me with that.
Yes.
Maybe I can't go to my mom specifically or my sisters because they don't
Mm,
they don't homeschool. Like, this isn't
right.
anything they've trekked before. So
Mm,
just like you said, I'm so grateful for the community of moms that have gone before us that we can reach out to, that
right.
understand, that have walked it, that can be those models to us and those encouragers
Yes.
to us, which is, I never, ever, ever understood the, I don't know if I want to say the power of an online community, but truly, I mean, I
Mm,
don't know what else to word it other than that, until this whole YouTube thing came about.
absolutely.
Everything I had been needing from people in my circle,
Mm,
I had found on YouTube.
right.
And it really started making sense when other moms would say, wow, I really appreciate this. Like, there were comments and emails and conversations between,
Yes.
like, you get it. You feel
Yes.
where I'm at, and you can feel it in the depths of every part of your being when mamas are struggling with things because we've walked it. We
Right.
are still walking it. We understand,
Right.
maybe not, every detail, but we understand the stress and the pressures and the feelings of loneliness that come in many ways, shapes, and forms. And
Mm,
it's just, I don't know, it's such a beautiful thing that definitely I'm so incredibly grateful for. And here in our own, where we're at, there was a homeschool co-op that we were part of. And some of those moms have been a part of that co-op that have
mm,
really, like you said, we've really gleaned some of their wisdom and knowledge
yes.
from the seasons they've walked through. And, being in between churches, which I'm sure a lot of us are in that same boat, just
Yes.
given, the life circumstances that we're in. So not getting that community or that support in
Right.
that respect either. So
Mm.
then having to take our introverted selves or whatever we may be into these situations and
Yeah.
these sphere of influence that we're in, and having to step out
Right.
and make an attempt at the grocery store. If you see a mama with little kids, if
Mhm.
you're at the park, usually I'm like, oh, go the other way, go the other way, go the other way. I don't know what to do. Like, it's
Yeah.
so against everything that I've
Right.
ever been, but you just get kind of like, how do I do this? How do I do this? What do we do? What do we say? What do we, you like analyze the conversation all over in your head. And
Yes.
we just get so comfortable in taking that initiative
Right.
to also not sit and wallow,
Right.
in
Right.
this, but let's step out a little bit too,
Right.
and do what we can in our circle
Yes.
to maybe start to build those friendships and those relationships, and to love on other people, and seeing
Yes.
people at the park or whatever, and
Right.
realizing, like, we don't have a clue what they're going through either, and maybe they
Right.
feel the same way we do. So
Yes.
if we step up and say something, what a beautiful thing that could turn into be if
Absolutely.
we challenge ourselves a little bit too.
Right.
That's something I've very much been challenged in recently, and just
Mm.
stepping out of my comfort zone instead of
Mhm.
wallowing in, I'm lonely, I don't have anybody, I don't,
Right.
whatever it might be, that these
Mhm.
lies, or these feelings even, and just saying, okay, no, I'm going to step out. I'm going to go out of my normal comfort zone and see what can come of this.
Yeah, definitely. And I think
'Cause
too, if God leads us to homeschooling, he's going to provide those opportunities. Like
yeah.
he doesn't just leave us like, okay, well, you're going to homeschool and then you're going to be miserable the whole time.
Yep.
Like he might
Yes.
have us in certain seasons for a reason. Like I truly
Yeah.
believe my kind of isolation, so to speak, at the beginning of my homeschooling journey was for a reason so that I could really focus on
Yes.
my kids and what we were doing and really just dig into that without any distractions because the Lord
Absolutely.
knows how distracted I am by all kinds of things.
I 100%. Yes,
And
100%.
I am the
I am
kind of
with you in
person
that.
too. Like, if I'm your friend, then like I'm all in on your life,
Yes.
like you
Yes.
want to vent to me any hour of the day, then you call me up,
Yes.
and those are
Yes.
great things. It is a good thing to be invested in
Yes.
your friendships. But at the same time, sometimes those things can distract from the
Absolutely.
work that really matters inside the walls of your own home. And
Yep.
so having a season where all I really had was the Lord and my kids and homeschooling and my four walls
Yes.
was very beneficial to me in so many ways. And
Yep.
maybe, somebody listening out there finds themselves in that same season. I would encourage you to really dig in to the word and grow closer
Yes.
to the Lord in this time. Really take advantage of this quiet time that you have in your life, because life's
Mhm.
not always going to look like this. Like, there are going to be so many seasons, especially if you have small children and you just feel like you cannot get away from those small children because they need you every
Yes.
hour of every day. Um, just really in those quiet times that you do have and those lonely times that you have a friend in the Lord, and you
Yeah.
don't have to feel those feelings. But regardless, I remember there was a time in motherhood, my first 5 years of motherhood, where I didn't have very many mom friends at all.
Mhm.
And I remember praying because, well, I mean, I started having kids very young, compared to a lot of people that I had grown up with or that I was
Yeah.
friends with at the time. They, like one of my good friends just had her first baby this
Wow.
past year. So it's like,
Wow.
I was in a really different season than all of these other people that I was close to. And so I remember just praying to the Lord for some good mom friends.
Yes.
And Derek and I started going to this church in town. It was a very small church, but this girl and her husband came up to me that first day and they were like, "Hey, do you guys want to go to lunch?" And at
Oh.
that time, we just had Kaylin and Elijah, and they were so little. They were like, oh gosh, 4 and 2 at the time, or 4 and 3 at the time. And I was pregnant with Maddie, and we did. And she ended up becoming like a sister to me. And we're still best
Oh.
friends to this day. She's one of the ones that moved away. So if you're listening to this, Kendall, why? No.
Why did you leave me?
Your life's supposed to revolve around me. No, I'm just joking.
Yes.
But no, but she ended up becoming like a sister to me, and she was there for
Wow.
me through so many different seasons of motherhood, and it's just been an incredible blessing.
And even that she felt so heavy on her
Yes.
heart to come to you, like,
Yes.
that's not to interrupt you, but that's something that we should
No.
all be in tune
Yes,
to
absolutely.
step
Absolutely.
out because you
Mhm.
never know what God has in that for you,
Yes,
in your
absolutely.
faithfulness to step out.
Yes.
Like,
It's
that's a
it's just
good
so cool to see God at work in that, and the fact that we are so close to this very day, and that
wow.
she has been such an encouragement to me in my times of loneliness, even if she's
Yes.
3 hours away, like we
Yeah.
talk every day. And so that is a way that God has been so faithful in my life as an introverted mom who has a hard time stepping out. Um,
Yes.
just really going with his leading in that, and that he delivered this friend that literally just landed on my lap, and that we are so much alike in so many ways, was just really cool to see how that all unfolded. So now, even with this
Absolutely.
homeschooling journey, like, we're starting to scope out different churches and things like that
Mhm.
in this area. And I know God's going to provide those relationships because
Yes.
he has all that planned out for us anyway. When we go with his
Yes.
leading, he's going to lead us to the people that are supposed to be in our lives for that specific season or for a lifetime.
Yep. Yep.
So,
For a reason, for whatever, whatever he has. And I
yes.
think too, you said a couple good things I want to touch on. Good reminders are to, if you're in one of those seasons where it's really just a dry
Mm,
season, I love that you hit on growing so close to him. Like some of
yes.
the most dry seasons that I've had, and I mean dry as in like not busy, right?
Right,
Not
right.
chaotic, busy, rush everywhere, because we've had those seasons where I'm just being super, super focused on whatever I'm happening to do. And
Yes.
we're saying no to a lot more things in those specific seasons where there's less play dates and there's less this and there's less running and less chaos.
Mm,
Um, those have been the times where I have been so close to God. Like
yes.
I have just pressed into him so beautifully. And it's been some of the most rewarding seasons I've ever walked through
Mhm.
in my life.
Yeah.
And I love that. So that's a huge encouragement. Like you said, in those seasons, if you are a mama right now listening and you feel that desperation, that loneliness and that isolation, lean to him.
Mm,
Cry out to him, reach out to him. He's right there. He's with you in all of it. His word tells us
yes.
so. Like we know this. He's listening. And and pray for those friendships.
Yes.
Pray for him to bring people into your life, or pray for him to open up opportunities at the grocery
Yes.
store. I keep saying grocery store and park, but clearly, like, these are the places we go.
The most popular places for all
Yep.
moms.
We go to the grocery store, we go to the park, maybe the library. Let's throw that in too. I don't know, but pray for those situations and those circumstances, and then see what he does with that. It's such a
Yes.
good reminder, I think, that let's take the focus off of ourselves
Right.
and turn it back to him. What is he trying to teach me in this season?
Yep.
What is he wanting to show me in this season? Because like you said, he has us in this specific season for a reason. So what
Mhm.
is it and why? What is he
Yep.
trying to protect me from? What is
Right.
he trying to shield me from? Because sometimes that can be it too. He's trying to
Absolutely.
protect you from distraction and busyness and
Mhm.
all these things. And he's saying, sit here and rest, you
Yes.
know? So let's not be so discouraged by these different I keep saying seasons. I need another word.
Let's open up our
These mountains
thesaurus.
and yes, I need another word. Give me something other than seasons. Everything is a
Life
season.
life
These
circumstances.
There you go. Situations, these mountains and
Yes.
these valleys, these I don't even know. The things that we go through in life, right? All the
Yes.
changing of the seasons. It's just so fitting for every situation. It's the seasons, but he has us in every one of them for a
Yes.
specific reason. So reach out to him, ask him, show me, reveal to me what you want me to see in this season. Reveal to me what you're trying to teach me, where you're trying to refine me, what you're trying to show me, and where you want to lead me. Like,
Right.
lean into him with every ounce of that and watch what happens. That's such
Yes.
good advice. And I'm so glad you hit on that, because I can say that so much just in my own personal experience and personal journey. That is the times where things are just a little bit more at ease in
Yeah.
home are the times that I'm like, wow, God, you're blowing me away with everything
Right.
you're showing me, with everything you're doing, with everything in your word that you're opening my eyes to that I never saw before.
Mm.
So be encouraged by that. Any of you listening, be encouraged by that, because he has you where he has you for a specific reason, even though it may be hard. It may
Yeah.
be incredibly difficult, maybe one
Mm.
of the most challenging things you've ever gone through in your life. But know and trust that you are not alone. He is with you. And just saying, there's a huge support system online
Yes.
that is there as well, that you can reach out to. There are
Absolutely.
so many homeschooling moms. There are so many moms who
Mm.
share their journey and encouragement and so much goodness online. It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy amazing. And one of the reasons I'm so thankful for technology is exactly that. The community of
Absolutely.
moms who've gone before. You're not He's with you always, and then here is a direct
Yes.
avenue to mamas
Yes.
who hear you, who see you. So use those tools and those resources and reach out,
Mm.
because you're not alone. It might look different, but you're never, ever, 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 ever alone. So
And I might be a little bit biased, but I feel like this homeschooling community too is one of the most welcoming and
yes,
open and just encouraging communities I've ever seen on social media. Like,
yes,
yeah, no community goes without its drama or whatever, but
yeah,
I will say that I have never met more just women that just want to pour into other moms who are in
yeah,
certain seasons of life, like you were saying, or in the trenches, or are indecisive about whether or not to homeschool. Like they feel this tug toward it, but they don't know, oh, is this really what, I should be doing? And they have so many
yes,
fears. And yeah, please don't ever hesitate to reach out, like to either Jamie or I even.
yeah,
If I know I'm like in only my third year, but Jamie, she's been doing this a lot longer than I have. And if you are somebody who is looking at it long term, she would be a great person to reach out to really be able to speak life into this decision, because it is a huge
yeah,
decision and it's life
it
changing.
is.
But I always think to myself, like, this could be the scariest decision of my life. But what if it's the
Yeah,
most beautiful decision we've ever made? What if down the road we look back and we're like, wow, we stepped out in faith and now look at how our
yes,
lives have transformed. And I can already see that just even 3 years out, how different our
yes,
lives look now. And not to say that there aren't hard times, not to say that there aren't seasons where you do feel lonely or you do feel
yeah,
unsure, but
Yeah.
it has just been such a beautiful journey. And I will take all the bad times 1,000 times over to make
Yeah.
this decision again. So just
Yeah.
be encouraged right now, especially if you're struggling with loneliness. That first of all, life isn't always going to look like this. We go through so many seasons.
Yes. See?
We do, though. It's so true that life isn't going to look the same 5 years from now than it does now. So there is always going to be changes coming down the road that you cannot foresee. You don't know what God has for us in the future, but you do know that you have a friend in him and that he is there to listen to you every hour of every day, even in your
Yep.
most um desperate hour. You can always, like Jamie said, cry out to him and he will be there for you. So just be encouraged
Yep.
and just know that today.
Yes, absolutely. And the long haul of homeschooling, just to hit on that too, it just gets better. It
Yes.
truly just gets better.
Yes.
And I just can't believe, I mean, I say this all the time, but I absolutely cannot believe that we're still here and we're still doing this.
Yeah.
Um, this was just a 1 year thing for us. Like it was just
Mm,
a temporary, we're going to do it for kindergarten until we move and get him in a different school system. You know, it
yeah.
was temporary.
Right.
No, God's plans clearly were not
Yes.
temporary. And it's I just am blown away. I can't even believe this was never a dream of mine. This was never something I thought I wanted to do.
Mm,
And I'm that mama, who would get around other moms, other friends who didn't homeschool. And they would talk about, we hit on this before in some of our earlier podcast episodes, but get around mom friends who don't homeschool. And
mhm.
you'd go to lunch and they would be there having their coffee. They'd talk about, I'm going to Target, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then
Yeah.
part
Right.
of me, yeah, would sit and analyze, wow, that seems that seems like that would be amazing.
Right,
I can
right.
stay home and I can clean and I can
Yes.
cook and have everything prepared and the fridge fully stocked and my house will
Yes.
be spotless. I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't trade any of it for the world. I
Mm-mm.
would not trade any of it.
Right.
Not a Target run by myself or a house fully clean or a fridge fully stocked or a
Mm,
meal plan all figured out meticulously, perfectly, like to the T. I
right.
wouldn't trade a single moment of our homeschool journey for nothing. So
Mm,
whatever you're going through, whatever doubts you may have in your head, whatever you're dealing with, just take it all back to him because I thought I wanted other things, right?
mhm.
But God's like, no, no, this is what I have for you. And it
Mhm.
is so much better than anything I ever thought I wanted,
Mm,
right?
yes.
So just be reminded of that, be encouraged of that. His plans are always good. His plans are always better than we ever imagined.
And our feelings
And
are fickle.
yes.
Our feelings
Yes.
are so
And
fickle.
how
Yeah.
selfish really for me to be like, I want to go to Target by myself. And God gave me these babies, but I'm like, no, go to school. I'm going to go to Target and I'm going to have a clean house and I'm going to have a like, no, 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 no. Like how worldly and selfish is that of me? No, thank you. I want my boys here. I want to be with them. I truly love being with them. And it just gets better. So
Mm.
homeschooling for the long haul, I'm just here to say it only gets better.
Oh, that's so
It
awesome.
truly, truly does. So hold on, mama, hold on where you're at and keep walking the walk
Yes.
you're walking. It's amazing and it's beautiful. So feel free to reach out anytime. We have our email address down in the podcast comments or podcast description,
Description.
whatever we want to
I
call
don't
it. It's down
know.
there in the bottom. We have our emails down there. You can reach out to Christy or I individually as well if you need a little more encouragement or if you have questions or if you have even an idea for a podcast conversation
Yes.
that you would love for us to talk about. Reach out to us. Let us know. We're always open to any of your ideas and your thoughts and would love to just talk about anything and everything. Homeschooling, motherhood, all the things. You know all the things we do. If it's your first time listening, I mean, we cover everything. So
Yeah.
um, just be encouraged today where you're at, mama, and reach out to him because he's there. He's listening. He loves you. He cares for you more than you could ever even imagine. And he's got good plans for you. So don't ever,
Mhm.
ever, ever forget that. Ever.
Amen. Amen.
Yes. Yes. we thank you guys so much for joining us today for this podcast. And we will be back in another 2 weeks
Yes, that's
for,
the plan.
okay. I'm like, 2 weeks. Are we doing 2 weeks? What are we doing? So yes, in another 2 weeks with another topic for you that's going to be centered around homeschooling. And we're going to tackle another segment, shall I say, another, I don't even know what to say. We're going to tackle some more about homeschooling.
We need a thesaurus here. Like,
yes, I do. I'm running out of words.
I know, me too. We should just
I
have
think I
one
talk too
handy.
much. Yeah, I think I talk too much. I think that's the problem. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us today. And we'll see you in 2 weeks for another episode here at Motherhood on Purpose. Have a blessed day. Bye.
Bye.